at the end of another season. Did we really spend the season talking about a bourgeois black man who hates his people? Aren't you glad we did? Well, I'm so glad you asked because we are talking about all of it after the break.
Brokers, welcome to another episode of Brokish, where we talk about the unbelievable ish this country has done to keep us broke. Now here are your hosts, Amber and Erika.
Hello, brokers. I'm Amber.
And I'm Erika.
And we're here at the end of the season.
Amber,
my album dropping soon.
try vocal rest, baby. Try vocal rest.
Shoot.
So, were you about to say something before you?
No, I was just about to tell everyone after I gave y'all that beautiful snippet of a talent that I've kept hidden too long, is that we are here at the end of the season, wrapping it up. It goes so slow and so fast at the same time. So we're really here to just kick it with y'all.
So is that your way of saying that we have nothing to talk about today? I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that people understand what
I actually don't think it's nothing. I think what it is, you guys see, Erika is a little uptight.
Erika's having a bad hair day. That's what Erika is.
Erika doesn't realize that it is for freedom that Christ has set us free. And so when we are not restricted and bound and constrained by these scripts that she loves so much, she gets a little nervous, okay? And so it's not that we have nothing to talk about. We're going to talk about all this shit that's been happening around us, okay? And wrap up the season. But before we do that, how you doing, boo? How you doing?
Girl, Amber, I'm so stressed out about so many things in my life. Like, look at my hair. You can tell I look like what I've been through.
I'm gonna gift you a lace front wig. We need to get you in some lace while you busy, so you don't have to worry about it.
I'm telling you what the problem is. I only leave my house 2 days a week on purpose. And I don't go to the hair salon until tomorrow. So I'm in between and we're never recording on the right day, like when I'm fresh from the salon. So this is what happens. And anyway, it's fine. Like I'm still going to be cute. Like just don't get it confused at all. But it's just not, I'm just looking. Yeah. But this what's been happening, Amber. I found out recently that a bitch is old. That's what I found out recently. I went down to the doctor and the doctor was like, baby, I would like to introduce you to progressives. I would like to put you on to this technology they have. And I was like, oh my God, what is she even talking? Because I have an astigmatism. So I really don't wear my glasses except like when I'm driving and at night because I can see fine without my glasses. So, but I like glasses because I think they're cute. Mm-hmm. But just around the house, I don't have them. But then now my arm is having to get longer. I got to call the children to read the pill boxes so I don't overdose on nothing. And the lady is like, you need progressives. So that's where I am. So I'm having to deal with that. I'm still trying to get people to talk to me for my dissertation. Don't nobody want to talk to me for an hour and 15 minutes. And I don't know why, because I'm a lot of fun. And so I'm having a hard time with my
Speaking of which, did you get my man his gift card for talking to you?
First of all, I'm not about to talk about who might or might not be in my study. I'm not going to do that. Okay. Because I'm bound by research ethics. Yes. So I'm ignoring you. But I will say, if there are any other brokers out there that want to participate in my research study, reach out. Reach out. Let's talk. Let's talk for an hour and 15 minutes. And if you talk to me for an hour and 15 minutes, I will get you a $25 gift card. I will do that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so that's what I've been up to. I've been aging from this dissertation, from just being an old lady, but I'm still here. I'm still here.
Well, I stand in aging solidarity with you because perimenopause is... I had a full-blown hot flash Sunday, like full-blown. I was sitting with my mama. I said, Mama, I'm so hot. She said, well, we was in church. She gave me a Martin Luther King fan. So I started going to town with my Martin Luther King fan. I'm fanning. And I was like, Mom, I gotta get out of here. I'm so hot. She looked at me. She said, Girl, yeah, I can tell your wig is messing up. And I said, Oh yeah, I really got to get out of here. I'm sweating my lace off at the top. And y'all, for like 10 minutes, I had a hot flash and I thought I was about to perish. Okay. And I am historically anemic. I'm always cold. I ain't never hot. And so the flashes have
I'm
been hitting me
sorry.
lately. I also
Really?
randomly woke up at 40, probably from 30 to 40, no cap. I might have had 15 sodas in a decade. If you count the ones I finished the entire soda, we're talking about 6 to 7. I woke up at 40 and was like, I need a Dr. Pepper. I need a Dr. Pepper. And I drink a can of Dr. Pepper with a straw. I've been on like once a week having a Dr. Pepper. And it almost kills me because like when it goes down, it feels like acid. And I like heel over, but I can't stop. And I don't know what's going on.
Well, I guess I'm gonna be thankful that I'm not going through all that, Amber. I just can't
Yeah.
see. I
Yeah.
just
Oh
can't
well,
see the small things.
welcome. I mean, astigmatism, all the things. It's pretty ghetto over here, but at least glasses are cute now. And
Yes,
so you're gonna
yes.
be all
That's
right. You're gonna
well,
wear your progressives well, sis.
and hopefully nobody can tell because they
They
don't
will
have
be
that
able to
line on them.
tell,
No, before they used to have that line on them. They don't have that line on them no more. You can't
but
look at them and tell.
they got that thing. This gonna be if you got astigmatism, it's gonna be poking out a little bit on the side.
We're gonna see. I'm gonna put my glasses on. You're not gonna be able to tell they progressives.
Okay, well,
But anyway.
I'm standing. I'm standing and believing with you, sis. I'm standing. Hmm.
But as we're thinking about this season, it's funny because one of my friends who's a broker called me. She just called me yesterday and she was like, Erika, I hadn't been caught up on this season, girl. And I was listening and I kept wondering who y'all was talking about. And I didn't know y'all was talking about this one man. So finally I went back and watched the episode. She was like, oh my God, I can't believe y'all didn't cuss him out. I mean, she went in and she was like, I can't believe that man was so mean and he was so this and so that. And she was like, now it makes sense why y'all had a whole season where y'all was talking about him. And I'm like, to be fair, we didn't have the whole season just because he's a jackass. Like, that was not the reason. That is like, doesn't hurt. But the
No,
reason
that's
we
right.
had the season is because he can't come on here spreading all this misinformation and then we don't do nothing about it.
Yes, facts. Now, I will say though that I believe that the testing of our Christian character in such a public way should put all the rumors to rest about whether we are truly godly or not, because the general consensus across the board
Mhm.
is that he should have got cussed out at least 5
Yes.
times during the
Yes.
episode.
Yes.
So you guys do not need to question us anymore about whether we are eating the fruits of the spirit, because I believe that we have evidence now that we indeed are.
Yes.
Yes.
I was worried about Amber's tree, but that show showed everybody's tree. Yeah.
Yes. But I will say though, I do think it was timely, because as we are in this climate, not so much where things have changed, but where things have become more inflammatory, just more egregious, just more open.
In your face.
I think it exposes why the lies about things like financial literacy are so detrimental to our existence in this place. Because if we are chasing capitalism's tail, right, thinking that there's something that we can do to exempt us from the foolishness, I think what's happening now should be a glaring reminder that there will never be anything that a Black person can do to make them safe inside of this corrupt system. Nothing.
At all.
Your,
And I just
yeah.
wonder, not that I at all care about that man or his business or any of that, but if I think about John Hope Bryant in particular, and I think about, his billionaire friends and all his people, and sort of him, to me, living on like these DEI crumbs, I wonder how much of the DEI crumbs he's still gonna have, right? Like, so in an age where people were happy to be like, here's a pittance for you and a pittance for you for these sorts of things so that we can put a Black face on some of these initiatives. Now where people are not even interested in that. I wonder how that will affect what he's doing in his nonprofit and for-profit enterprises?
You know what? Maybe you're more hopeful than me, but I think that people who have most favorite Negro status truly believe that they will be exempt. I think the Clarence Thomases of the world, the John Hope Bryants, I truly believe that they think their most favorite Negro status will save them. And that to me is actually the saddest part, because I believe it's a sincerely held belief for them.
Yeah. And to the point of sincerely held beliefs, I think when the man came on the show, I really believe that's why I'm going to call what he does misinformation, because I don't think he's
Yes.
doing it on purpose. I
Yes.
think he does believe that that banks don't care what color you are. I think he does believe that capitalism doesn't have a color. I think he does believe that financial literacy is the civil rights issue of this era. After all the stuff that's going on, you still think financial literacy is so anyway. So I'm going to say that what he's doing is misinformation, but I don't think that makes it any less harmful.
Facts.
I think that his sincerity actually makes what he does more harmful. I think the stages that he's able to get on, because my friend who called me, she was like, yeah, I had just seen him on the Breakfast Club. And I'm like, I know, exactly, of course. And so he's in rooms and he's on stages and he has a platform that many people don't have. And he's able to talk about these really harmful things. And it just ought to be clear. If it hadn't been clear to anybody, like I feel like in our lifetime, it's the most clear that Black capitalism and capitalism will not save us. Like that is abundantly clear to me, at least.
But can we also take a step back and say that I think we need to acknowledge that what we have here in the United States is not pure capitalism. I think we conflate capitalism and plantation economics. Like this is a plantation system. It is not pure capitalism where you have people who own the means of production, they fuel supply and demand, the market. That is not what we have here. Anytime you have a system that the economics are fueled in part by the deliberate creation of a caste, then you are talking about something that is distinct from capitalism. Not that capitalism itself is not problematic or racist, but where the caste is baked into the economics. I think we are seeing for the first time very clearly that this is not just supply and demand. And I think the biggest the biggest deception in a plantation system is where you send out messages that deliberately cause people to confuse owning raw material with accumulating goods and accumulating like stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so that's really why financial literacy is a lie, is because accumulating goods does not make you more safe. You still don't own enough raw materials to create a critical mass inside of the system that gives you power. Owning a house, right? Owning cars, even having retirement money. That's not the same as the planter who owns the land, who owns enough of the land. And that's why the caste system is so important, is because you have to stoke tension between the people who are in the same caste as you, who don't own the land, and people who are lower than you, so that all of them can be fighting for the crumbs and not realize that all of them are fighting for goods, not access to raw materials, right? And that's why the ante is always upped through abuse of power, because you have to continue to stoke the dissension within the caste system to have working class people at all levels fighting each other, and having some people who are working class not even realizing they're working class because they own a few more goods than other people. But it's like, sweetie, you still don't own the raw materials. So
I guess I might feel a little bit differently, because I feel like the things that you're talking about are features of capitalism. And over time, capitalism changes its character, and sort of capitalism itself becomes this agent of chaos. And so I think the things that you talked about to me are not independent of a capitalist system, but emblematic of a capitalist system, right? Like this is just our current display of
iteration.
capitalism shows up this way. So I don't think that, I just think that it is a shapeshifter, and this is just the version of it that we are looking at today. So, but I will say, related to people owning things versus owning means, is that I think a lot of us are going to understand more about that distinction when the tariffs go up. So I think this idea of what Trump is doing with tariffs, or plans to do, right? I guess, as of our recording this, he's saying, no, I'm moving forward with the tariff plans because they have been paused, right? He's going to have some diplomatic conversations with Mexico, with Canada, with China. And I understand now he's saying he's going to go forward. And tomorrow it'll be something different, right? We don't know what the ultimate plans are. But I think if he's able to move forward with plans to increase tariffs, I think we're going to understand the difference. And I think a lot of us are going to, a lot of especially Black small business owners are going to feel the brunt of this. And we're going to understand how so many of the things that we have in our country are subsidized in ways that we can't even see. Right. And so we're just about to have, I think, a new awakening and understanding of how this economy really works. And sadly, I think many people are going to learn that their businesses are more fragile than they thought they were.
Yeah. This weekend I went to this Black-owned bakery in the Colony, and
you ain't tell me you was by my house and didn't even stop by?
I was at a retreat, sis. I couldn't stop by. I was at a retreat, so I was with a bunch of Black women lawyers. So we were waiting for our table at this restaurant, and we were at Grandscape. So we realized that Julia's bakery was there. So we all went while we were waiting for our table to go buy this cake. We're talking to her. She's very nice. And I bought four slices.
Them slices cost $10 each.
I was about to say, so I bought 4 slices of cake, and it cost $30 for 4 slices of cake. And one of the things that she had mentioned to us was that it was good we came when we came because she's about to sell out. And also her prices are about to change because eggs and butter, the primary ingredients in a baked good, are just going up. And I'm thinking to myself, like, damn, I mean, you already charging like $8 for a slice of cake. Like, child, and I get it. It's just that's the math. The math is not mathing at whatever she's pricing it at now. She's got a storefront, all the things. But I'm just thinking, like, it's wild that we're living in a world where a slice of cake is about to basically be $10. That's crazy.
Yeah. But from bakeries, right, to people who do t-shirts.
Yep.
Like, even if you think about Joann's Fabrics going out of business, and you can think about one of the reasons that's happening too. Like, just so many places we are a nation that relies on goods from other places. And so when these inputs cost more, it's just going to be interesting. And I think we're going to see firsthand how us knowing about our money and having a budget is not going to stop the pain from that stuff from coming to our front door. It just really isn't. And one of the things that makes me especially sad is this idea of so many of these government jobs going away and being lost. And we all know I can attribute so much of my success in being able to go to school and being able to have the financial means I did when I was younger to both of my parents being government workers, right? Like, for them having stable jobs and having jobs that had unions and all of these things, I can attribute a lot of that to those initiatives and those jobs. And so for that being gone, and to think about the effect that's going to have on the Black middle class, we're going to learn it's not just about how if you can count. It's not just about if you can figure out how to count. And so that's why this season, I hope, of course, there's this one guy who always shows up in the comments like, they so petty. I can't believe they had a whole season and John Hope Bryant is laughing to the bank and blah, blah, blah. I do not care. I do not care about John Hope Bryant or his banker. I do care about Black people. And I do care about Black people knowing the truth about how this society and economy function together. And how if we're not careful, And if we listen to some of these messages, we can think that the key to our liberation is going to be us buying and flipping a house.
Yes. And it's also a great time to remind people that just because somebody's laughing all the way to the bank doesn't give them intellectual superiority. It doesn't give them moral superiority. Like being able to laugh all the way to the bank could also just mean that you've sold your soul to a corrupt system. And so the fact that we equate wealth with
So many things, intelligence.
yes, morality, virtue,
Yes.
it is time out for that. Because the reality of it is that I mean we could both be laughing all the way to the bank if we wanted to as well. Like it is not hard to pay somebody, like Erika was just making fun of me about this before we started recording, $49 to coach you about how to get on the internet and finesse people. Like that cannot be the end game for all of us. And the accumulation of wealth cannot be the proof in our life that what we're doing is righteous or right. And so that is a very deliberate choice. And so I hope that, the fact that he's going to the bank and has all of this stuff doesn't somehow convince you to believe that what he's telling you is going to work for you and that is good for our people, because that's not true. And that's not the same thing.
Because he going to the bank because a lot of us ain't.
Facts. And there are a lot of white people who will gladly continue to throw him crumbs so he can go to the bank and send y'all the messages that put money in their pocket.
Absolutely.
Okay?
So this season, for y'all who don't know, we did a Mythbuster season. And the first episode where we had with John Hope Bryant, where he was our guest, we did not know it was going to go off the rails like it did. I would say it was like the best of times. It was the worst of times because it was amazing, like just how awful all of it was. But again, like we've been saying, it really gave us a way to expose a lot of these myths. So we called that the financial literacy myths, the greatest hits, because he hit on all of the greatest hits. So first up for this season, we had Jared, Dr. Jared Ball, friend to the show, my mentor, committee member, all things Black Liberation Media, on to just talk in general about just the notion of financial literacy being the civil rights issue of this generation, and how it was just so egregious for that man to show up on whose internet is it today? Is it Blue Ivy's internet? It's always somebody new's internet. Anyway, for them to show up on somebody's internet and say all the stuff that he had. So that was how we kicked off the season in terms of busting the myths of John Hope Bryant, was with Jared to help us tackle that issue.
Yes.
Then after that, we had our friend, also friend to the show, Dr. Kayende Andrews. And on that episode, we were talking about the idea of slavery and race neutrality. So John Hope Bryant was basically on here telling us that the chattel slavery was not a unique institution, right? That people have been having slavery all over the world.
Since the beginning of time, child.
Since the beginning of time. And
he quoted the Bible. Don't forget.
And I think that to me is, from somebody whose family is descended from enslaved people, that is really a sad message, because I think we all know that there was a unique cruelty in chattel slavery that didn't exist in other forms of slavery. Right. And for us to be descended from those people and not recognize that, and not recognize it like there's some weird people who wear it like a badge of honor, like my ancestors were enslaved, and I'm like, not in that weird way, but just to sort of acknowledge, again, the unique cruelty that happened to our ancestors in ways that were different from other types of slavery and other human atrocities, right? Not to discredit those things. And so I just think that it is also really harmful for a man to come from that lineage and legacy and ignore that like it wouldn't be a barrier for so many people. The history, the vestiges of chattel slavery continue to be, and we talked about this through the rest of the season, of course, but they continue to be an impediment to Black people's economic progress, social progress in so many different ways. And for him to be like, other people had slavery, just get over it. It's like, that's how I want to be.
Yes. And that's actually a perfect segue to the next episode, because even as we were trying to get over it, every time we continued to try to get over it, there would be another re-injury, another infraction to set us back. And so when we talk about the history in this country, one of the things that just irks my soul is when we talk about it like we're only talking about enslavement, like we're only talking about the institution of slavery as a singular event that was not followed by continuous acts of dehumanization, degradation, and really violation of Black people. And so we saw that with our next episode with our Mythbuster 3, Banks Don't Care What Color You Are. And we had Dr. Justine Hill Edwards on here, who wrote a brilliant book about the Freedmen's Bank. And she talked to us about how that bank represented a new opportunity for our people post the enslavement that they had experienced. And for many of them, everything that they had accumulated, because contrary to popular belief that we're lazy and trifling, even while we were being owned by other people, a lot of enslaved people still worked their own jobs, still worked to save money. And post-emancipation, were doing everything that they could to build a life for themselves. And the Freedmen's Savings and Trust Bank represented an opportunity for them to start over in this country, not with a handout, with money that they had earned while being exploited. And that the white people who were tasked with overseeing that bank pilfered it. They took the money that was meant to be put in and invested in low risk to make interest as a savings and trust bank, and they invested it in wildly speculative real estate. They gave loans to white people. They gave Black people's money to white people. And they eventually caused the bank to collapse. And thousands of Black people lost everything that they had.
And that story is enraging for a lot of different reasons. But one of the things that I often hear, and you hear this all the time, Amber, is we just need to build our own, right? Like, y'all just need to build y'all's own. Black people don't want to cooperate. We don't want to get together. So, y'all, there have been so many points in history when we have tried to build our own. And white people, either through, just like they did with the Freedmen's Bank, stealing in our faces, or white racial terror, have come to snatch these things away. It is not because we have not tried. So for everybody who is always like, why can't we just like the other people? I don't know enough about other people's history to know, but I know for us, when we try to do that, what white people not going to do is let it last for long. We just haven't seen it happen historically. They are going to come after the shit that we try to build up. And again, whether they take that by might or whether they take that in some other subtle ways, what they're working to do is take it. And I think you could look at like the environment that we're in right now and see it all happening. Yep. The progress that we thought we had from the civil rights era, and we'll talk about this on another Mythbuster, but like these things are being stripped away right before our eyes. So we have current day examples of how we've tried to build it and still they come.
Yes. And not only do they come, I also want to point out, because people love to give us examples of the others, immigrants who come here. And whiteness has been so committed to the exploitation and the degradation of Black people that they have been willing to extend the umbrella of whiteness to undesirable people in order to keep Black people down. I mean, we saw that happening during the Great Migration when Black people were trying to find housing in the North. You know, instead of it being a situation where, oh, Black people could move into immigrant communities, they would be like, no, listen, baby, you white now. You're not Italian anymore. You're not
how the Irish became whites.
Yes, you're not even that anymore, baby. You white now. And so if you want to be white, what you cannot do is allow these Black people to move into your neighborhood and bring it down. And they went with it. So much so to the point that when Black people moved into certain places, their homes would be bombed. They would come home and their furniture would be thrown out of the window. Their homes would be defaced and vandalized. And so I hate it so much when people compare Black people's experience in this country with immigrant experiences, because immigrants have literally been given an umbrella and an invitation into whiteness solely to keep Black people subjugated. Okay.
I'm just gonna let that sit right there, Amber. I'm not going to say nothing else about that. Yes. The other silly thing he came on here talking about, and this one is really silly to me, especially as somebody who has worked in tech, that's worked in finance, that's worked at banks, big and small, that banks don't care what color you are, baby. Baby, they do care.
The computer doesn't even know. He said the computer doesn't even know. That's what he said. He said the computer doesn't know what. That shit is hilarious.
It is. And so we had our friend May come on to talk about sort of technology, AI. And I'll say that I probably don't share May's optimism in terms of what AI and technology can do in terms of reforming some of these institutions and some of the things that are happening to us. I do not share his optimism. But what I do share is like just the idea that technology is not colorblind, that AI is not colorblind, and certainly AI and technology are not unbiased entities, right? And so these technologies take on the ideas, the thoughts of their programmers, of the people who are working on them. And so for us to think that you have this industry that's largely driven by white people, Indian people, like having all of this is not going to have an effect on the technology, I think is naive. And I don't say that, of course, because I'm like, oh my God, all white people are incredibly racist. All Indian people are incredibly racist. That's not my point. But my point is that humans contain biases. And so for us to try to think that somehow that doesn't relate to the technology that they're creating, I think it's just a silly notion. And so we have to understand, what does it mean for so much of the technology, at least here, to be created by like such a small group of people, and what does that mean for how we experience it in terms of us trying to get loans, us trying to make sure we're getting fair interest rates, for us to be able to get access to credit. And we know based on research that we are getting less of all the good things and more of all the bad. And I just can't think that that's a coincidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have been trying to work up the nerve during my job search to, when they ask me my race, to select white woman. Because I keep hearing that, it creates an advantage. I haven't been able to bring myself to do it. But I have several friends who are very open about the fact that they always select white when they apply to jobs. They never select that they are Black. And
I mean, does it really matter? You think it matters? I don't. Here I'm being naive. Like
I don't know. I'm curious though. Like I said, I haven't worked up the nerves to do it, but I know at least 3 or 4 people who have told me, like, girl, I always put white woman. I never put that I'm a Black woman. I always put white woman.
I wasn't gonna say I think you might have an inner white woman, but I'm.
I mean, I hope you don't, because I don't want to stop being friends. But I do think that whether it's true or not, I don't think the notion that a person would have some advantage by clicking it is preposterous. And
absolutely not.
Absolutely not. It's like, what do you have to lose? So I ain't mad about it.
Especially in an anti-DEI, anti-affirmative action world, like why not? So I don't know, Amber. Definitely that idea was crazy to me. And then we had our new friend, Dr. Jen Sims, come in. And one of the things he kept saying is Black people didn't get the memo. And I'm sorry, not Black people. Black Americans didn't get the memo. Yes. Right? Because, like Nigerian Americans got the memo, right? Jamaican Americans got the memo. It's just Black Americans did not get the memo. And again, a really hurtful thing, because as we've talked about with so many of the episodes, it's not that we didn't get the memo. It's not that we haven't tried. It's that the forces that are used against us are especially harmful and especially targeted, and anti-Blackness is such a real phenomenon. And so for him to just be like, if y'all read more, if y'all got the memo, then y'all, it's like, man, go sit down.
Right, right. And I'm so glad that Dr. Jen brought up a great point about what the demographic of an immigrant looks like. Like, who is the person that can leave their native land and come to America and start over, not to diminish the difficulty of that or the courage it takes to undertake such an endeavor. But you are talking about people who tend to be higher educated. You are talking about
Sure.
people who typically tend to have some access to financial support. So, yes, even when they come to a new country, they are coming, and it is a struggle. It is often, a struggle on many levels, even financial, but they are coming with a degree of privilege, because typically the person who is able to undertake that endeavor is somebody who already had a leg up where they were coming from.
Right.
And that is not the same testimony of a Black American person who is born here, who has been here generationally, and who is living in the residual effects of the racialized terror that this country has been inflicting for generations.
And that John Hope Bryant tells you does not exist.
Well, it's not that it doesn't exist, but his mama was able to overcome it, Erika. And so if his mother can do it, anybody can do it. Okay.
I just want to know.
And that's your problem.
It is my problem. It is my problem.
Yes.
And I still want to fight him for telling me that his mama make $15 an hour and can buy a house in Compton. Try that today. Try to go buy a house in Compton on $15 an hour today and see how far that will get you, ma'am. Like, it's anyway.
And do you know why she was able to buy a house in Compton, working a job for $15 an hour at the time when she did? Because white flight drove the prices down. Because white flight drove the prices down.
And didn't nobody want to live in Compton? Because, like,
well, yes,
of all the things that were happening in Compton, because of the lack of development in Compton and people dying in Compton, like,
and whatever benefit she got when she sold that house is the circle of that, because now she's benefiting from the gentrification. So it's like, let's tell the story in context, that this is an actual example of racism. Like, I was just reading a book that talked about how, like, white people were literally dumping their houses on fire sales, like in neighborhoods like in Chicago and in Compton, in North Shore, or is the South Shore in Chicago. Like, as soon as the first Black family moved in, white people, like, fire sale, got rid of their houses. The market there just went down the toilet. All the development left. So yes, Black people owned homes, but they didn't get the benefit of it the same way that their white predecessors had, because the value of their homes plummeted. And they were locked into predatory mortgages to get homes that were now worth a lot less. So yeah, stop it, Mr. Hope Bryant.
But Amber, I think, I never want to give you credit, but
I'm just glad you're telling the truth about it, sugar.
Look, I don't want to give you credit, Amber, but I think low-key, the episode where you were sort of talking through the parallels between the things that happened historically, like in the period of Reconstruction, and the things that are happening now, I think people might have liked that show, Amber. I think they might have been like, yeah, we like what Amber did here. So anyway, I'm gonna give you, is that giving you credit? I'm gonna be like,
listen,
okay.
In the words of the prophet Teddy Pendergrass, it's so good loving somebody when somebody loves you back. That's why I love y'all. I love you. Thank you.
So yeah, Amber, for those who did not hear, tell us about what you told us, Amber.
I mean, I just wanted to draw the historical parallels. The inspiration for the episode was somebody sitting on MSNBC just saying something flagrantly wrong, saying that Trump's pardon of the insurrectionists on January 6th was the largest mass pardon in history and that it was unprecedented. And I just remember thinking, like, I cannot believe this person is platformed on a national media outlet just spitting lies, because the largest mass pardon in US history was when Andrew Johnson pardoned the Confederates. And part of the reason why this stuff continues to happen over and over again is because we are not able to identify the historical parallels. And so I really just kind of wanted to walk through just a few eras in history to show that Donald Trump is really, he's really peddling out of a playbook that is very old and that is tried and true. And so I was really just trying to, bring up some examples to show people that, like the old people say, baby, it ain't nothing new under the sun. It ain't nothing new under the sun.
Yeah. And I do think that's really important to talk about those parallels, because it can be, I know as I'm like watching news reports and seeing all these things, I'm just sometimes overwhelmed by all of it. And I know a part of that is just the media stoking fear, right? And I know the media loves the chaos that he's creating. And, a lot of it, I'm like, it's always hard for me to understand how bad things really are, because I'm like, how much of this is just the media show and how much of this is real? But it is helpful, at least for me, to have some context that's broader than just getting caught up in the daily, whatever it is, cycle of things that are happening, and understand, no, baby, this is not the first time. It's probably not going to be the last time. And then that also doesn't make me feel good about it. Of course, it doesn't make me feel secure at all, but it reminds me of, we've been through this, like, we can do this, like because I do want to feel defeated a lot of times, and then I have to be reminded, like, we can do this.
Not only can we do it, but it's also in some ways easier when we know what their end goal is, because if you look at who they're copying, whose playbook they're playing out of, it is very apparent what the end goal is. And I think that a lot of us have spun our wheels and we've wasted a lot of time talking about what the intentions are, what they're trying to do. Oh, this is not really going to be so bad. This is just, and it's like, they are telling us, based on who they are patterning themselves after, exactly what they want to accomplish and exactly where they're trying to go. And if we could just recognize and identify the parallels, we can start planning accordingly, right? And I think that part of what I lament most about the poor education we get in this country is that it is not even so much an issue of not recognizing it. A lot of us don't know the history. It's not even that we don't recognize it. Children are literally not being taught history.
Sure.
And so I think that's, of course, by design as well. But that makes me very sad, because it's harder for people to pick up on the parallels and then take up arms accordingly.
Oh, I heard that. So, Amber, did you pull your pew-pews? Put your pew-pews away. Hold on, just, whoa, okay. So our last myth buster was that he came here to talk about poverty as a mindset. Amber, if you put your mind on some different things, if you put your mind on your money and your money on your mind, then you will have different things.
Oh, that's basically what he said. That's why it's so hilarious. Yes.
So I'm going to call her Dr. Taylor Darks. Actually, I think Taylor might have defended by now.
Yeah.
I think she might have defended by now. But anyway, I hope that if she is about to, all the good vibes for that. But anyway, Dr. Darks came and talked to us about some of the barriers to wealth accumulation in this country, right? Like, why it's not just because people got a wrong mindset, not just because they didn't get the memo, that we haven't been able to accumulate wealth. And she reiterated some of those things in terms of white racial terror and some other issues that came about to strip Black Americans of their ability to build and accumulate wealth. And then we also had a little bit of a discussion about reparations and what that could look like, should look like. And that's always an interesting topic for me, because I think reparations is something that should happen, but I just also I'm like reparations ain't never gonna happen. But I like to, in my daydreams, I like to think about reparations and what that could be like.
Yes. And I had somebody ask me, like, what did reparations have to do with poverty? And I just want to be clear that
Who
the,
had
the so
Okay.
I'm not even,
You don't have to name names. You don't have to name names. Okay. You don't have to. Just
okay.
okay.
Yes. So one of the things I explained to this person is that you cannot call poverty a mindset if you haven't created a remediation for the reasons why the poverty exists, right? The poverty exists for very particular, specific reasons that have very little to do with the pathology and the inherent inclinations of Black people, and much more to do with intentional systems and structures designed to keep us impoverished. And so the reason why reparations was relevant to the conversation is that I am not poor because there is something wrong with my mindset. I am poor because this country conspires against me at every turn. And that should be remediated. And so I, don't want to assume that only one person had that issue, but I do think that's a great, just FYI, to that's the connection.
Well, we're here to help the people, and so, and like I think about all the time, I wasn't always where I am. And so I got to give people grace for where they are.
Yes.
So now they know, and maybe we can now move forward together. Maybe they have a better understanding.
Yes.
Look at us helping people to grow, hopefully. So y'all, that's been season 10. It started off with a bang. I will say that. And this is not at all what we have planned. I don't know if we had a plan for season 10. Honestly, I think so.
I don't think we had a plan either. I think though that God does all things well. And I do think that sort of starting out hitting all the greatest hits of the bull crap gave us an opportunity to talk about some very important things. And I hope that what we did this season was to help people recognize a pattern and to connect both the present and the past. And hopefully that gives them some clarity about how to move forward in the future, so.
Yeah. And Amber, I don't know what people can look forward to in season 11. I don't know when people can look forward to season 11, honestly, because I need to write a dissertation.
Yes. And I'm busy this summer, child. I'm busy. And I have things going on.
So y'all, we love the brokers for sure. We love the brokers, but thankfully there's lots of content on Black Liberation Media. And so even when Brokish is not around, there are tons of other shows that you can tune into that, we think you should give a watch and a listen to. So yeah, we don't know when we're going to come back, but for sure we're coming back. For sure
and when we come back, we're going to have a TikTok social media graduation for Erika because no Black graduation is legit.
I'm be ready to graduate. We're not going to be gone that long. It's going to be a long time before I graduate.
Yeah, but if you're done with your dissertation, that's basically it. I mean, listen.
No. I'm probably not going to finish writing a dissertation before we come back. I just got to get some good progress. I got to get some good progress.
We need a reason to have a party, okay?
Okay, but that's going to be in 2026, though.
Fine.
That's going to be 2026. Relax. That's the worst thing y'all could do to somebody that's getting a PhD. Ask them when they're going to finish and be mad when they tell you.
I know, because we want to have a party. I'm trying to do the where them fans at line dance at the graduation party.
Okay. Did you see that one with that little girl? Hers was the best. That little girl was the best.
Baby, that's the one I've been trying to learn from. But little sis, she too much for me. I'm gonna have to get one of them videos where they like 1, 2, 3, because she was like, baby, catch up or get left behind. Okay. Yes.
Hers was adorable. So no parties yet. No parties yet. But we're gonna be back. It sounds like we're gonna be back after the summer. Remember, it's a long break until after the summer.
Girl, it's March. 3 months is not a long break.
But June is not even, the summer doesn't even start until the end of June, Amber. Like, when are you talking? We're going to talk offline about this, but like.
I waited 2 years for Yellowstone, okay?
Was it worth it? I don't know. I never seen Yellowstone.
Yes, child.
Okay. Well, y'all not going to wait 2 years, but
no.
We don't know when we'll be back. We'll be back. So y'all, while you're away, there again, lots of great stuff you can watch on Black Liberation Media. And just take care of yourself, right? Like, just start getting ready for the revolution, right? Like, summer's coming, do your training routines, start planning, trying to figure out how you gonna, save your little extra money because prices finna go up. Everything's gonna be a little bit off kilter. So that's what we just gonna say is like, start minding your P's and Q's, taking care of yourself, planning for the uncertainty of the future. Brokers, that's what we're going to ask y'all to do over the next few months while we are away, because we're going to be doing the same thing. And that's why, we're not against financial literacy and we're not against planning. But what I'm going to tell you is that it's not going to save us. So in the meantime, we're going to do a little bit of that, watching what's going on, taking care, sharing with your neighbors if you got extra stuff. All of that, be community minded. And in the meantime, take care of yourself and we're going to be back. So thanks for tuning in. We look forward to catching up with you on the next season of Brokish.
All right, good people. Thanks for listening to Brokish. For more episodes, visit us at brokish.com or subscribe and Brokish will get direct deposited into your favorite podcast app on the 1st and 15th. Share Brokish with your friends and join the conversation on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Music for Brokish is Come Get Some by Blank and Kit. Until next time, goodbye and good luck.